guys, welcome to Aspiring Something TV. We're here today with Emma. Emma is a multi-hyphenated creative who lives in Nashville, Tennessee. She's a singer, model, makeup artist, painter, jack of all trades. You've recently been designing your house. I've watched you during quarantine. So you pretty much do it all. We met in Nashville. We have the same modeling agent, and we've written together a few times. Before we jump into the questions, I just want to say I think it's so funny. The last time we got together and we wrote that song, I feel like we pretty much like predicted quarantine. We were writing the song. Do you remember what the song was?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I thought about that the other day, actually. Yes, that's nuts.
We were writing about how we're done with just like the routine and traffic and like all this stuff. Like we just want like rest because you had just gotten home from work one day and you're like, I
Yeah,
just want rest and I just want, and we're like, well, I guess, we got what we asked for.
I take it back.
6 months of rest. Yeah.
I take it back. I don't want it anymore. Yeah.
Careful what you wish for, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So, being a multi-hyphenated creative, is there anything that you like more than the other, or how do you balance that all?
You know what? It's so weird because I really go through phases. And I think a lot of it comes from my childhood, I think, because I grew up like in the country. I was like kind of raised to be a tomboy, but I think there was always something that was inside of me that was very girly. So like even from the time I was a little kid, I've been like doing all sorts of different things. Um, but really, I don't know what stands out more than another because one day I like makeup and that's my thing. And then the next day I'm like, oh, I'm the girl that sings. And then the next day I'm the girl that sells really well at her job. And then the next day I'm just a student. And then one day I'm like, oh, I want to be a real estate investor. Like it just depends on the day. Like I really just go through phases and balancing it. Like I don't really work too hard at balancing it. Like I just do what feels right at the time and I go with it. And then sometimes like let's say you are in a makeup phase and you're happy with makeup, cool. Like whatever your mind is on, that those are the opportunities that come to you. So like I was in like a makeup phase of my life where I was like I really like makeup. And all of a sudden I meet a lady and she's like, "Do you want to work in makeup?" And she offers me a job and now I work in makeup. And so like I really don't focus on balancing it. I just do what's making me happy at the time, and those opportunities will sort of come to you if you let them come to you. So I don't focus on balancing it. I kind of just
You're just
do what
open
feels
and
right.
receptive.
Yeah,
It sounds like you don't
exactly.
really put yourself in a box. You're kind of open to whatever comes and trying things. And I think
Yeah,
that's awesome. So many
yeah,
people, I think, are just stuck, set in one thing and afraid to try different things. And, that's the beauty of life, variety.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think one of the best pieces of advice that I could give anyone who like doesn't know where they belong and doesn't know what they should do. The best piece of advice, I mean, I still don't know what my one true passion is, and quite frankly, I don't know if I'll ever know what my one true passion is. But if there's one piece of advice that I could give people, it's that you have to try new things. And especially if they scare you, like don't be scared of trying new things because that's how you discover where you belong in life. And that's how you get good at things. You're not going to get good at things if you never try something new. So I just try my hardest to always be open minded with whatever opportunities come to me and I take them.
I love that. It's so true. That's why I created Aspiring Something. I'm kind of like you with the multi hyphenated, and but I would look at my friend who's like purely a singer-songwriter and like that's like her life mission, and I would be so envious. And I'm like, how does she know so strongly what she wants to do? Because one day I'm singing, the next time,
Yeah.
whatever, videoing, writing, and it's like, but I do. And then I found that, I don't know if you go through this, but I found like I was shaming myself for not just doing, 10,000 hours of one thing. But I think, we live on this planet for such a short time. If variety is what lights your soul on fire, and that maybe that's your purpose, doing a bunch of different things and touching in the lives in all those different arenas and environments.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's different because, like you said, I've always been jealous of the people who have a passion and they go with it. I'm so jealous of those people, but at the same time, it's so nice. Like I'm somebody who just gets bored really easy. I get bored really easily, so it's nice that I have a lot of things I can count on because if I do get sick of makeup, I can go like, it's okay. I'll do photography this week. That'll get my mind off of makeup. Like, so there's good and bad, but like I
Yeah.
think just whatever's making you happy at the time, go with it.
Yeah. Side note, she painted the painting behind her She is so freaking talented. I told her at the beginning of this before we started, I was like, I love that painting. She's like, oh, I painted it.
It looks like, I thought it was going to be so cute. I feel like it just looks like banana slices.
No, it's so like abstract. I feel like I would see that in a museum or like Restoration Hardware. I love it.
These turned out way cooler. Also, do you like my sweatpants? Did I look professional until I showed you my sweatpants?
You're professional on top and chill on the bottom.
These are the other ones I did. These ones I think are cooler.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Is that watercolor? Yeah. How do you do that?
I don't know. I found some fancy brushes at Hobby Lobby. Sometimes I just go to the craft store, and if I just see something that looks fun, I'll just buy it and see what I can make out of it. And that was one of those times.
You need to, not that you already have too much on your plate, but if you get bored one day, create an Etsy shop. I might buy some of your stuff.
I thought about that. I actually did think about that. We'll see what happens.
You should. Okay, so you kind of touched on how, when you were younger, you were a tomboy, and that kind of helped open you up to different possibilities and different, like, being open to different careers and hobbies, I guess you would say. So what would you say, I guess that was the positive of your childhood, what negative things that you went through, positive and negative all shape us for who we are today. What negative things and adversity did you go through that shaped you to who you are today?
Most of my childhood, I would say, was pretty good. I went to a private school for grade school and middle school, and that was really great. Like, we all loved Jesus, and everything was kumbaya. And like, literally, like, I wish I could say there was drama. I wish I could say there was bullying, but like, really there wasn't. It really was like a big lolly, everybody loves each other. Like, I thought that was a representation of the real world. I thought everybody was just
little did you know.
And like, I did kind of struggle a little bit at home. My parents were great. They were both great parents, but like, my parents didn't have great jobs when I was little. They were business owners, and I mean, obviously during the recession, like, they were struggling. So like, school was great, but like, at home, I'll be honest, I didn't have my parents around a lot just because they did work so much. So like, I never had help with homework. I always had to do those kind of things by myself. I'll be honest, I sat outside of my basketball practices in the middle of winter in Wisconsin for like half an hour every now and then because my mom would forget me. But like, really, I mean, they were just so busy. I mean, they weren't bad parents. They just worked so much. Like, yeah. I mean, they're great now. They really are. They were never bad parents. They really just struggled financially for a little bit, but they're doing really good now. But I would say the biggest struggle, like I said, I was so naive up until the time I was like 13. Like, I really just thought like every school taught people to be good people. And apparently that's not correct, because after I got out of my private middle school, I went to a public high school, and the first 2 years were terrible. The first year especially. Like, first off, I tried out for the volleyball team, and they moved me up from the freshman team to the next level, which they called JV. I don't know if they call it JV.
Yeah, they call that here. Yeah.
So they moved me up to the next team. So already all the girls in my freshman class hated me because they moved me up. At least I think that was part of it. And there was another girl, like the most popular girl in the school. She was just terrible. She was just mean, and she like convinced the whole school that I was a bad person and nobody should be friends with me.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I still to this day don't know what I did to her. I mean,
that's the sad thing. Bullies, they don't have to have a reason. They just project. And if anything, she probably saw that you were a threat to her existence or a threat to her popularity. And that's so, so horrible. I definitely know a few of those people from high school, and it sucks because, I mean, as a high schooler, you're not able to see through that or
you don't see it
to the bully, how they're hurting. Like, if they were happy, they wouldn't need to bring other people down,
No, it's so true. No, it's absolutely so true. But it's like my freshman year, I was just so used to having friends and everybody was nice to each other. And then I went into high school and I'm like, this sucks. Like, I went home and I cried every day and I was like, nobody likes me. What's wrong with me? And don't get me wrong, I had my flaws. I've always been a loudmouth. So like, that has never, I probably will always be a loudmouth. Like, I just am that way, and that's okay. Like, if you don't like me, fine. I have other people that do like me. But that didn't help me out at all. But like, so like I said, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, but like, I still don't know what I did to deserve what happened freshman year. And I found out later it may have been jealousy, but I guess the biggest thing.
Bullying. I mean, there's no justification for bullying. I mean, everyone has different traits, different personality traits, and you just have to accept people and
Be
accept
nice.
diversity, just be nice.
Yeah, I found what's the most interesting about it is even though I was really, I don't want to say segregated, that's not the right word. I found that even though I was definitely like cast aside my freshman year, and that was really hard. In sophomore year, it got better, but it still wasn't great. Looking back, I'm glad that I was bullied, I think, because had it not been for that experience, I definitely wouldn't be who I am today. Like today, my skin is thick. Like, what's interesting is like sometimes my boyfriend tells me like I don't open up enough. Like I'm just like you're just so like closed off. And I think that's because I was kind of bullied, because I told myself when I was bullied, like the way that I got out of feeling bad for myself, I told myself I was a badass. I didn't actually think I was a badass, but I would tell myself, I'm like, you are a badass. Like nobody's going to push you around. You are so cool. Nobody wants to bully you because you are the coolest thing in town. And like, I didn't actually believe it, but like I told myself that over and over and over again. And come to find out years later, that's actually a tactic that people do. I didn't realize it was a real thing, but I was doing it long before I was even aware it was a thing. But what's interesting is like, sooner or later, I like actually started to believe it. Like I started to believe like I am cool. Nobody's going to push me around. And what's interesting is because I was so tossed around freshman year, as high school went on, like by my junior year, people didn't mess with me. And not to say like nobody was sticking my head in the toilet. Like nobody was slamming my head in the locker. Like it wasn't like that, but like people left me alone. They didn't try to pick on me. They didn't try to spread rumors about me anymore. Like people just stopped. The girls that were mean to me, they just started to leave me alone. And maybe that's because I was growing on them, but I think it was because I built up this facade of who I wanted to be, and I turned into that person. And I built up this, at first it was a fake self-esteem, but it's real now. Like I have this real confidence. And I think if I hadn't been picked on, I don't think I would have the confidence that I have today, because it forced me to like myself. I had to find something that I liked about myself to get past the bullying.
It's crazy. Like even the Bible says like the power of the tongue is life and death. And so affirmations are truly like so important, even though when you don't believe them at first, but then you start to
grow
on
you. And it's
even though you said, oh, they weren't putting, your head in the toilet. I think verbal abuse is way worse because the psychological effects last forever. I mean, unless you work hard to get rid of them.
I mean, it really makes you second guess who you are as a person. Like it really makes you doubt yourself. But yeah, I mean, when you can learn to tell yourself, and even if it's just fake at first, but like eventually you keep telling yourself, you'll start to believe it. But when you can develop a sense of confidence with who you are, and don't get me wrong, it's not easy, it takes a lot of work, but life gets so much easier because the more confident you get, the less you start to care about what other people think about you. And you have to accept that there are certain people in life that do care about you, and those are the people that matter. There are a handful of people, I mean, always try to be a good person, but to a certain extent, you're going to have a handful of bad apples in the world. And if you're going to try to get every apple to like you, you're going to be wasting your time and wasting your energy. Put your energy into the people that matter to you, because that's what matters. That girl that bullied me, I don't care what she thinks of me. I don't care anymore. Like,
so what would you say to people that maybe are in high school right now, college right now, maybe they've been the outcast, maybe, they didn't make the cheer team, they didn't make the volleyball team, they don't fit in with any specific niche, maybe they're alone, maybe they're getting bullied on the phone, they don't have like any sense of identity. What would you say to them, advice wise or tips?
That's a great question. I think my younger sister falls in this category. I love her to death, and she's the biggest sweetheart. I think she has so much to offer the world. But I think that her biggest issue, and I think a lot of people in that situation, I think that those people's, if that's the right way to say it, I think that those people's biggest issue is that they have so much self-doubt. And when you don't have like a purpose, because I mean, like I said, I do so much, but even I start to question my purpose sometimes. When you don't feel like you have a purpose, you don't feel like you know what you're here for, it's hard to be confident and it's hard to love yourself. I think I've told my sister, the first thing you have to do, in my opinion, is take care of yourself. I don't mean you need to go to the spa. You don't need to go get your nails done all the time, but like wake up in the morning, have a routine, make your bed, put on a little bit of makeup, just slap a little bit of something on, do your hair and get dressed. It sounds weird, but it can do so much for a person. Like my freshman year, I'd wear sweatpants, and it's just like I wear sweatpants now in the daytime, and I'm like, oh, like I just feel so groggy. But if you can just wake up in the morning and put yourself together just a little bit, it's such a good start for your day. And it's so much, and again, a lot of it's confidence. And if you can get ready in the morning, that's one step closer to convincing yourself that you're a confident person and that you have a purpose. It's hard to tell yourself you have a purpose when you have a messy, greasy bun on the top of your head and you're wearing sweatpants and slippers. Like, it's really hard to have a purpose when you look like that. You know, like, I hate to say that like looks are everything, but a lot of confidence can start from the outside. If you can just start to love yourself on the outside a little bit more, that inside love might come a little bit easier for some people.
That is so true. Wow. Is it the Meisner technique? No, it's the method acting. You know, they go in it to embrace this character. Like, if they're a drug addict, like they'll actually, I don't know if they'll actually do drugs, but they'll actually like physically do something to them to affect the internal. And that's so true. I love that. It's a little ritual in the morning of self-love and building confidence. And it's something so simple. And when I think back to days where I was like, you know, depressed and just sad and down, those are the days. The cycle kept going because I would just kind of roll out of bed, put my hair on. Like, sometimes I'd forget to brush my teeth. Like, who feels confident when they forget to brush their teeth, you know? So just those little things really helps. That's amazing. I never really thought of that.
No, it's really true, because and I still go through phases now. Like, I still get ready every morning because that's like a habit I've gotten into, and thank the Lord that has helped me so much. But it just makes me feel ready for the day. But like, even earlier this week, I was rolling out of bed because I started a new job, and the job now that I work is in the afternoon. So I can sleep in as late as I want now. Well, I was sleeping in until like 8, okay? And then the next week later, I was sleeping until like 8:30, okay? And then this week, I'm sleeping until 9 o'clock. And then it got like Wednesday, I slept until 9:30. And I woke up and I'm like, oh my gosh, this needs to stop. So this morning, I made sure I woke up at 7:30 in the morning and I went to the gym. And something as simple as that can like set the tone for your whole day. And when you can repeatedly do those little things day after day after day, that's what really makes the big difference long term. And like, there's a book that I read, it's called The Compound Effect. Highly recommend reading it. It's a quick read, it's really easy to read, but it is like life-changing and mind-blowing. I think Darren Harding, I don't know, The Compound Effect. I highly recommend that book. But it talks about how the little changes that you make in your life that you do daily, that's what leads to success. It's not these big monumental things that you do on a Monday morning. Like, it's just the little things, how waking up 20 minutes early can be life-changing. But it's a really good book.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, I need to check that out. Cool. We'll link it in the YouTube bio section so people can check it out too. Okay, so we're getting short on time, but I wanted to ask you, do you think that education played a pivotal role in, or do you think they provided you and equipped you with the tools needed to discover your passions, your multi-hyphenated passions? Or do you think that it maybe disempowered you because it's like a one size fits all? Or do you think maybe a little bit of both? Or
that's a great question. I think a lot of it depends on the person. And I think a lot of it also depends, where'd you go to school? Like, for example, I went to school in the middle of nowhere, like rural area, Farmville. Like I said, I grew up in the country. So like, did my school equip me for my passion? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I almost had to take a class on taxidermy. Do you know what taxidermy is? That's where you stuff dead animals. I almost had to take a class on taxidermy because the school was so small and they didn't have enough options for me. So I had to go to the principal's office and bargain with him and say, I'm not taking taxidermy. And he's like, well, that's the only thing that fits in your schedule. I'm like, well, I'm not doing it. so like, I worked with him. And
then you put it in a casket? What do you do?
No, you when you shoot a deer and you want to hang it on your wall, you have to clean it and skin it and gut it. And I was like, I'm not taking a class on that. But that's what
I literally have a taxidermy with me right now.
That's basically it.
It's a dog toy, but
that's basically it. So I had to bargain with the principal, and I was like, there has to be something else. He's like, well, you could do like an independent study. So I did something else, but I guess to answer your question, I think it depends on the person, because some people's passion is helping people. So they like science. So what do? They're a doctor or a nurse, and school helped them find that path. And some people really love art. Okay, well, that's great. You can take an art class and you go to art school and you go for graphic design, and that's so simple, and that's, that's easy. It follows your path. But some people are really different. And I think I would be an example of that, because even though school was good, I'm in college. Like, I'm a second year college student on my fourth year of school. Like, I'm good at school. I am good at school, but like, it's not my passion. So I just feel like I'm going through the motions. And like, for me, for example, I don't think school has helped, but I don't think school has helped me find my passion. Like, I've discovered over the years, I think I know what my passion is. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I think I want to be a business owner. Like, I had a jewelry business when I was 13. Sounds weird, but like, I made bank for a 13-year-old. I'd sell my jewelry when I was camping. I made a lot of money. Have you ever met a 13-year-old who could pay for their own TV and their own iPod? Yeah, that was me. I had a photography business. Like, I do makeup for like brides on the weekends and stuff. So I have a makeup business. But for example, me as an entrepreneur, did school prepare me to be an entrepreneur? Absolutely not. Like, school, the school system, private school, public schools, college, they teach us to be employees. So for me, for example, I don't want to be an employee. I want to be an employer, but guess what? School doesn't teach us how to be employers. So I guess to answer that, like, does school help people? Yeah. I mean, it can give you an opportunity to learn things and try new things, but like, I think for a lot of people, if you truly want to discover your own passion, you have to try things that might be out of the ordinary. Like I said, when opportunities come to you, you have to take them. And if you see something on social media and you're like, wow, I want to try that, but I don't know how to start, figure it out, girlfriend. Figure out how to start it. Like, that's how you figure out what you're meant to do in life. Not, I think for most of us, it doesn't come from school.
Yeah.
You figure it out on your own.
School's hard because you have your friends and things are cool, some things are not cool. So maybe like the drama kids are nerdy, or maybe the cheerleaders are cool. So you almost like are in this like prison of like trying to be popular or trying to fit in, where it's like it's almost not cool to be the adventurous person who tries all these different things. Like, it's almost like people feel safe with an identity, but I think it's so freeing to not have one and to be able to try all these different things.
And like I said, I think it's especially hard for teenagers, because teenagers do get bullied, and like, you have acne and you may not have friends, and like, you're moving to a new school, whatever it is. Like, being a teenager and being in high school, though, that was hands down the 4 hardest years of my life. Like, I don't think life could ever possibly get worse for me. Maybe it could, but I highly doubt it. I never thought tears of joy were real. I was like, why would you cry tears of joy? And then I had my graduation ceremony and I cried tears of joy. And somebody looked at me and said, Emma, are you sad? I said, no, I'm so happy I never have to come back to this place. It's sad, but I guess my point is, like, part of finding your purpose, like you said, it's hard, but you have to learn to be confident and, to a certain extent, toss the bad apples' opinions of you aside, because you have to put yourself first in life. And I think a lot of people are naturally just selfless people, but as bad as it sounds, there's a certain beauty in being selfish. There's a certain beauty of putting yourself first, because I think the bottom line is, if you can't put yourself first, and if you're broken, if I'm a broken person, I can't fix other people. How do I fix something that's broken if I'm broken myself? You have to fix yourself in order to fix others. And I think that's, especially true. Part of fixing yourself is understanding that not everybody's going to like you. Part of fixing yourself is understanding that sometimes people are going to think poorly of you, and you just have to go on and live your life like normal. So you might get bullied for riding horses outside of school. Who cares? If you want to be the rodeo girl, who cares?
Yeah.
That's part of life. Your true friends are going to love you. And if people are going to bully you, who cares? That's not your problem. Your problem is you. And if riding horses, for example, makes you happy, go for it.
I love that. Yeah. And you don't want to be friends with the bully anyways. You want to be friends with people that empower you and encourage you.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
to wrap this up before, I don't want Zoom to kick us off, but we might have to do a part 2, part 3, because we can talk
absolutely.
hours.
Whatever you want to do.
I did want to touch on, I wanted 2 quick questions. I just don't want Zoom to cut us out. So your parents, they were hardworking individuals, didn't start out with a lot. They've inspired you. How have they inspired you, and what have they taught you?
My parents, my mom came from like a normal family, like nuclear family, mom and dad, siblings, ranch home, like middle class. So she actually waited tables till she was 30 years old. She didn't go to school until she was like 30. And even at that, she paid for her own schooling, and it was a 2-year degree. My dad, I mean, if you want to talk about oppressed, my dad was oppressed. I mean, his dad was an abusive alcoholic. He came home drunk from the bars every night and beat his kids. His mom was the same way. His mom was terrible. Like, his mom would beat all of the siblings. I remember my dad would tell me stories of, like, when he was 8, 10 years old, he'd go in the barn and eat dog food. And, like, I was little and I'd laugh. I'm like, that's so funny. Why would you eat dog food? And as I got older, I realized, like, oh, like, the dog food was what he had to eat. Like, his mom's cooking was so bad, or like he was so malnourished that, like, he would go to the barn and eat the dog food because that's what tasted better than the food. So I mean, he didn't have parental love. He didn't even really have a good relationship with his siblings because his parents really split the kids apart and, like, made them hate each other. He didn't have an education. He was homeschooled his whole life. Like, he was the oldest kid, so he was really a hard worker. So he really tried to teach himself, but, like, his siblings to this day, like my aunts and uncles, a lot of them can barely read. Like, they really struggle to just read a book. It's really hard for them. But, you know, both of my parents didn't come from anything special. And growing up, like, they could have worked for somebody else. They could have just gotten a job, but they went out on a whim and they really took a risk. And I remember being a kid, like, my mom used to work for another company, but most of my childhood, they were entrepreneurs. And so my parents started a construction business, and it just started small. That's what a lot of people don't realize. A lot of businesses, they don't start big. They don't start multi-million-dollar companies. They don't. Like, they start out of a garage. You know, people start fixing roofs with their crappy car and they tote a ladder around with them. Like, that's how it started for my dad. And it, you know, it just kind of grew. And then the recession hit and they pretty much lost almost everything, and they were back at the bottom again. And so they tried another business and they made picture frames and sold them. Obviously, they didn't get rich selling picture frames, so that was a failure. They tried, like, a furniture business. That didn't work. So that failed again after their construction business had already failed. But eventually they started another business. They actually make shelves, like wall shelves, like fireplace
I've
mantles.
seen them. Well, when you were doing your decor and everything, and they're so nice, and they're made in America, and they're wood, and they just look amazing.
They are. It's really good quality, yeah. And but it took them, I mean, my whole, like, 12 years of my childhood, I saw my parents work so hard and never give up. And I mean, like I said, they sacrificed so much. They didn't get to go to my volleyball games. They didn't get to go to my softball games. My mom wasn't there to help me with my homework. They worked day in and day out my whole childhood. But finally, you know, failure after failure. And had like I said earlier, they wouldn't be where they are today had they not tried all those things. And a lot of people like playing it safe, and that's fine. If you want to play it safe in life, that's okay. That's, a lot of people stay in their box and they stay in their comfort zone. But truly successful people, I don't want to say you're not successful if you play it safe, but, like, the people who really make it big in life, they're the people that step outside of their box and they go in a bunch of different boxes until they find what box is actually going to work. And they might get kicked out of all these boxes, and it might be really hard, and one of their boxes might flood, one of their boxes might fall off the shelf, and they might break their arm along the way. Like, but that's how it happens. Because, I mean, my parents, 20 years later, they own this shelving business, and it sounds weird, like, they just make shelves, but they own a multi-million-dollar company now, and they're doing,
oh my gosh, from eating dog food in the barn to a multi-million-dollar business. That is incredible.
But I mean, what it kind of taught me is hard work, perseverance. You are going to be uncomfortable along the way. If you want to be successful and you want to make it, you're going to have to do things that make you feel uncomfortable, and you're going to have to push yourself. But I think really the thing that they taught me was, one, hard work, like I said, but the biggest thing is mindset. So much of who you are is in your mind. If you tell yourself you're never going to get rich, if you tell yourself you're never going to get famous, if you tell yourself you're never going to live up to anything, and you're never going to fall in love, nobody's ever going to love you, you're never going to have a good relationship with your sister, whatever it is, if you keep telling yourself those things, darn tootin' girl, it's going to come true. But if you can tell yourself, I'm going to be successful, I am worthy, I am confident, I am cool, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to have a business, I'm going to be able to take care of my family someday. If you tell yourself those things, and if you do the actions that are required to get to where you want to be, you're going to be what you want to be. You're going to be successful. You can't not be successful if you follow those steps. Like, But so much of it is your personality and your mindset, and you have to tell yourself that you
Now
can
it's so hard when every other job, it seems, there's a this step to this step to this step to this step. You know, you get your degree, you do this, you become a nurse, you become this. And some people, that's their true passion. But when it's maybe creating your own business, there's not really a one size fits all. So that's where the mindset and the applications really come into play, because you have to tell yourself, and you have to, and once you kind of align with those affirmations, things will probably just start kind of aligning and coming, you know, that you did before, that when you had that self-doubt.
Yeah, you have to really believe in yourself, and you have to be willing to take risks and put yourself on the line. But I mean, I think another thing too is you have to understand you're going to start small. Like, your business is going to struggle for a while. Like, it's just part of the process. You have to embrace every part of the process, and you have to work hard and have that mindset there. And you know, you can't, every time, some things are going to go wrong, like in life, in your business, anything, things are going to go wrong in life. And the biggest losers in this world, I hate to say it, but the biggest people that fall on their butts are the ones that let themselves fall on their butts. Everybody's going to fall down. But the biggest people that get held back are the people that sit there and go, oh, life is so hard. This is so hard. Everything's working against me. But really what it comes down to is, yeah, life's not always going to be easy, but it's those setbacks that make us stronger. It's like bullying, for example. Did I fall on my butt? Yeah, I did. But had it not been for that, I would not be as confident as I am today. I would not be able to stand up to people the way I do today. So yeah, it's really embracing the failures and understanding that that is part of the process. You have to pick yourself back up and dust yourself off and move on.
Yeah, just finding the blessing with the curse, you know, whether it's bullying, whether it's, you know, a financial blow in a business.
Yeah.
That's some solid advice. Okay, so before Zoom kicks us off, I have one more question. So in this season, you're a multi-hyphenated creative. In this specific season, what would you say that you're aspiring in one word, if you can? And if you can't, that's totally fine too.
You know what? Right now, I don't think there's never going to be just one thing for me. There's never going to be just one thing for me. Right now, I would say God is my relationship with God has been probably my priority. God, and just reading. I'm trying to read a lot, and I read the Bible in the morning, and then I read my business book at night. Bible in the morning, business book at night. I'm trying to do that. But right now, my biggest focus is reading the Word of God, and then reading any other thing that I feel is going to benefit me. So
that's
reading.
Amazing.
That's my focus right now, is reading.
I love that. And the Bible isn't always isn't always easy to understand. How do you
Well, I love Genesis. Genesis is like a lot of stories. So I read Genesis through, and that was great.
Yeah, Genesis is visual.
It is. It's like a storybook.
Like that. Some of them are like gory visual, and I'm like,
yeah, then you get to Leviticus, and it's like not fun. I mean, I think, who was it? Moses. I think Moses wrote Leviticus. He should have scrapped that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I've had an edit come through.
I would recommend, actually, that's a great question. I would actually recommend, they have Bibles, study Bibles. They have Bibles with like study pages in them. So you read like 3 pages, and then there's a little devotional. So that's what I'm reading right now.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm reading one. It's called She Reads Truth. It's the She Reads Truth Bible. It's just a normal Bible, same Bible. But the nice thing is the She Reads Truth. It's a Bible with Bible studies within the Bible written for women.
Oh, okay.
And they have one called He Reads Truth. So it's like Bible studies for men, because obviously women and men face different things.
In this day and age of false news, fake things, deception, we all need truth. I know. Yeah. Okay, so send us the link, and I'll put that in the bio too. I know I'm always looking for like ways to help me understand the Bible. I love Jesus. I love church. And in the beginning of quarantine, that was my thing, reading the Bible every morning. And then I got to one part of the Bible, and they started talking about like blood and like all this stuff. And I'm just like, and then I kind of got out of that habit.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
Yeah. I understand. I kind of go back and forth between the books, but yeah, I've noticed if I've gotten a study Bible with the study guides within it, it's made it so much better.
It helps it be like an intentional read, where you're not just reading and not knowing what you're reading about and why.
No, exactly. I agree.
Awesome. Well, it was so nice to talk to you, and we'll definitely have to circle back in a few months and see how you're doing. I can't wait to see if you put those paintings on Etsy.
Oh, for
Or
sure.
create whatever business you create.
See where I'm at. All
Yeah.
right. It was so nice talking, Lindsay.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Bye.